You're listening to Errol Parker and Clancy Overall, editors of the Betoota Advocate, on Desert Rock FM.
Welcome back to the Betoota Advocate radio show, live from the Betoota Advocate recording studio. Very exciting to have today's guests in here. You've just got myself, Clancy Overall, today, and I'm joined by Gabe Gasparinatos. He's a director, filmmaker, I guess we'd say nowadays, of the new ONEFOUR documentary, Against All Odds. And joining Gabe is the subjects of his documentary, two of them anyway. We have Spenny and we have Celly ONEFOUR from the Western Sydney. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Good to be here.
What's the media run feel like now? I mean, these guys are used to like maybe a bit of media around new music or, you know, I've seen you do Rolling Stone, GQ.
Yep, we've done that.
See that kind of stuff. What's it feel like to be now, as opposed to like what you're promoting is your art? Now you're the art. How does it feel that way around?
Yeah, it feels good to be able to tell our story and have a worldwide audience get to tune in and see our side of the story.
Now we've heard a lot of your stories through your music, right? That's what this genre is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of caught a lot of people's imagination. You obviously inspired a lot of people. There's been something emerged from all of this that, you know, a scene, right? Before I ask you about when you first saw this thing popping off, ONEFOUR for the first time, but what were you guys looking at that inspired you to get into drill? Like, I mean, a lot of, you'd hear in early Aussie hip-hop, skip-hop, such serious American influences, but it didn't look like that with you boys. What were you looking at growing up?
Growing up and looking at the music that I was following at the time was a lot of old school hip-hop.
Yep.
But with the boys, as we grew up and looking into different type of music, we felt like drill, especially from the UK, was more relatable for us. The things that we were doing and the way that we were growing up. So we felt like we could relate more to the UK drill scene, and a lot of us boys went that direction. So
do you think it's because of how it looks? Like UK drill with the flats and the sportswear looks a lot more like your life that you were living than the lowriders in California, you know, like that LA scene, for example.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Because you guys were onto that before Australian music was onto that. I feel like Australian music kind of found drill off the back of it happening in our backyard. And we kind of saw that when you guys started getting feature artists and turning high-profile British drillers into household names because they got, you know, because you were featured on the remix, for example. What was some of the conversations you guys were having with? I know Howie, love you, Howie, was early on like kind of like an industry type that was floating around you guys. What were the conversations you were having? Were they basically saying, we love this sound, we think it's going to be the new big thing, or were people kind of like more interested in seeing what you guys had, you know, where you were heading with it?
I feel like early days there was a lot of hate like towards us because people didn't really like see it as like we could actually do, like someone in Sydney can actually do music, and like, you know, rapping itself was like very looked down upon. And if you were to do it, it was like, you know, the lowrider stuff, the American accents. It was all that. But you know, when we're able to tell our story, I feel like we got a bit of, you know, recognition, and people were like starting to tune in. Even though it was hate, it was like, all right, sweet, people are looking at us, and if we're getting attention, then why not just run with it?
They're like interested by it, right? That's what I sort of first noticed, is before people knew whether they liked it or not, they were fascinated by it and they were curious. Yeah,
and it was more so like, it was like the first time people would actually get to see, you know, something like what we're doing, and I felt like it was an opportunity for us to like, all right, so if no one else is doing it and we can pave the way, why not just keep going?
Yeah. Well, what were you thinking though creatively? Was it clip by clip, song track by track, or are you thinking album from the top?
No, it was more just like taking the piss, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was nothing really serious. Like, it's just like, all right, sweet, if this is going to work out for us, it works out. We're blessed to have like a lot of heads in our group, and you know, when we give advice to each other, we take it.
Yeah.
Like it's never like.
Yeah, a lot of the time that we're there in the studio, we just pretty much make new projects, or you know, we go home or whatever we're doing, we'll be writing, and then we'll come in and we'll just lay down whatever we had. Yeah. There was no structure towards it. Yeah, so we're just doing whatever we wanted.
And where you were at musically at that point in your life is what you were doing. It was whatever was happening on the day you were recording.
Yeah, there was no. Yeah, it's nothing to compare to what it is now.
Yeah. I kind of want to talk a little bit about as it was happening, because we couldn't really see as people that were watching you. I mean, most of us were watching you on YouTube or on socials because, as we will talk about later, touring's been an issue for you guys. But what we didn't know and what is revealed in this documentary is what was happening. Like, you know, the blokes were subbing in and out effectively of ONEFOUR as a rap group. Celly, when these songs were blowing up on YouTube, you were in jail.
Yeah, I was in jail. I got to hear a lot of it on the Triple J show through Howie. So a lot of that time, that's how I heard the songs. Yeah, but it was good just to hear the boys on the radio and actually get to hear their songs and that as well.
How else were you hearing about the buzz? Could you feel the buzz in jail?
Straight out, I think I knew it, but I think I had to experience it myself. And I always told myself that inside, you know. Like a lot of people used to talk about it, or people that came from the outside, and they'll come to the inside and then they'll tell me about it, or just how the boys tell me. But I guess it's when you're just in there, and you're contained in that.
You kind of cut off.
Yeah, you kind of, I don't think you can really experience the whole thing, and I'm still experiencing it now. So,
you kind of, that's the next thing I want to talk to you about, that transition. We also see in the documentary YP has a similar story about having to come out now to this. It's not the same as when you went in. It's then the boys are still there, you're still ONEFOUR. How did you kind of handle those fan days and those visits and stuff? This was not really what you were doing before you went in, but you'd made the music with the boys before you did. So
when I was inside, it was just, I was inside, you know, that's what it was for me. So,
aside from being a big moment in Australian music, there's a big moment in Polynesian, you know, Australia, representation, and of course, like, you know, taking back your own stories and presenting yourselves as you are. You know what I mean? For many years, like, Polynesians in Australia were presented as Jay from Water Rats or Chris Lilly, you know what I mean? Yeah. So now it's like, you know, there's a big Polynesian moment. I think that was most evident with that Brisbane show. How quickly did that sell out?
Was it in 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah, it was like 10, 15 minutes.
All the Logan boys were ready for ONEFOUR.
And there were two shows, right? There was the under 18 and the over 18.
Oh yeah, there was an under 18. So when they announced that show, it sold out in 10, 15 minutes, and then like
crazy.
The under 18s were like making a fuss about they couldn't do it. They weren't able to like,
come along
because like we got a very big young audience at the time. So like we felt like, all right, sweet, let's put something on for them. So when we put that on for like the under 18s and that, all the ticket sales and that went to charity.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it went to like a charity thing, but that got sold out.
Yeah. So are you feeling that? I even remember seeing with the Penrith Panthers match around the time where you guys were popping off, you'd see all the ones in the crowd, you know, letting everyone know where they were from and that they were obviously listening to your music. They were playing it at stadiums. You get a lot of that. Yeah,
the boys were supporting us, and you know, we support them just as much, and it's just like a community thing.
Yeah.
Like where we're from is like when we see one of us make it, it's like, all right, sweet, we all get to be heard, we're all seen on the TV. It's like, it's a proud moment when like our people are doing our thing. And you know, when we say Mount Druitt, it's like Mount Druitt, you only know what it's like when you're really from there. Like people say postcode wars, this and that, postcodes, but it's really like, nah, this is what we grew up in. We're all the same people. And like when the younger generation get to see us put on like a global scale, it's like, all right, sweet, like we're showing them that one day you can do this.
And it was all happening at once. You know, you kind of got Bam Bam and Tyson Pedro, you know, icing blokes. You've got Penrith Panthers now at a 3-peat of Penrith Panthers. But when you guys first popped off, they were in the grand final, right, around that time. And then you have ONEFOUR and a whole number of different things that are happening behind the scenes. It's not just sport and hip hop. But could you feel that? Can you feel that vibe out west?
Yeah, 100%. I could feel that. Like when people bring up Mount Druitt and people from Mount Druitt, like myself and the boys and that, like people ask you where you're from, it's like people look down on it. Like, it's like, oh no, you don't want to say it. But now, you ask where you're from, we say Mount Druitt, like we say it proud.
Yeah, say it proud.
Yeah, we wanna like set that example for people that come from places that we come from. Not only Mount Druitt, but just hoods in general. If you're from where you're from, like be proud of it.
Yeah.
No, you can't shy away from where you're from, but it's where you're going, it's where you're heading.
That's a funny thing about Sydney. So traditionally, right, the whole thing with Sydney has been you make a bit of money, you start moving east, right?
Yeah.
Eventually get to fucking Bondi. And that's like how people have always treated it. The old footballers, Brad Fittler's a good example of it. Penrith boy, you wouldn't know it nowadays.
Yeah.
But I think what hip hop's done, and it's particularly what the NRL has done, is made people, this is where we're from. This is going to be where we are forever. It's like it's home. It's not like something. There's no necessarily a whole getting out of the hood attitude anymore. It's like let's stay at home and be proud. Is that where you see yourselves?
I wouldn't say getting out. Like getting out's always good. Like, like when you're living in Mount Druitt, like you're always trying to like become better and be in better places so that when your kids are growing up they don't have to go through the same things. But it's more necessarily, all right, if I'm gonna move to this place, I'm never gonna take that out of me. That's where I'm from. I'm never gonna say I wasn't from Mount Druitt, this and that, like, you know what I mean? There's
a difference between getting out and getting off the streets. Gabe, I want to talk to you about when you first saw ONEFOUR. I think I remember. I remember the first time I saw it, and I remember thinking, "This has to be these lads have to be from Sydney, just from the dress, right?" That's what I was looking at. There was a little bit of a edge.
Yeah. Oh, it was such like a distinct moment, or such a distinctly Australian sort of thing to see as well. Was the first time I heard Shanks and Shivs, I think, was the first track, and just being so shocked that this was coming out of Western Sydney and coming out of Mount Druitt, and being so impressed by the musicality of that track and so excited to kind of see that all happen. I think that was the first time I came across ONEFOUR, and I knew Ricky, the manager. I knew how I was kind of doing some work in that space. But yeah, it was just so wild to see and hear that music, and it was so wild to see how people were starting to talk about it and how it was starting to get, back then, like 100,000 views maybe on Shanks and Shivs was crazy for the time. Like that wasn't
for sure. For Australian music in general, nothing would move like that within 24 hours.
And that was sort of the first track to kind of get a bit of buzz. But even before that, I know, those earlier songs, they had a different type of buzz on like Facebook. They were kind of going around, like even way back.
So 1,000 likes is big to us back in the day.
Yeah, for sure.
When you got 1,000 people liking your stuff, like
your household. Yeah, for sure.
So that was wild to see, and it was just so interesting and unlike anything I'd seen before, and just such an exciting moment, and the way that people were embracing it and getting part of it. When it started to pop off, it was
part of it as well. When we were like, doing all the music and that, we kind of like wanted to normalize it. And now 4 years later, seeing something like Act Like Us pop up, it's like not so like, oh, what the hell,
Yeah, for sure. It's not. I wouldn't say it's mainstream, but it's not taboo or it's not rare. But there is only ONEFOUR, and that's why you guys are in the documentary. That's why the documentary's going to translate, I guess, around the world. I mean, because as we learn in the documentary, drill is not isolated to UK. It originally popped off in Chicago as a sound. But one thing I was thinking when watching that, because you're showing some of the influences of you guys, early in your songwriting, I'm thinking, is this the first time like Harlem Spartans from London have been on screen in a documentary?
I mean, there's been some stories about, Digga D had a documentary made about him that was a really interesting watch about his legal issues. I think it wasn't a Netflix thing, and it maybe hasn't had that kind of global reach. But yeah, in some way, this is probably the first time that some of that music might actually get this global platform. Harlem Spartans, I think. Yeah, and it's cool to be able to include that and reference that and make a point of, the music that inspired you guys so early on, being able to see that in there.
Because they're feeling seen. Not only is like, your community being seen in this documentary, but I feel like a lot of people around the world that have been involved in drill music are being seen for the first time too in a documentary about where drill got to in Australia.
And I think people will go backwards. People might sort of, now start to get introduced to drill through ONEFOUR, through this documentary, and actually be able to go back and learn about the history of it and go back to hear, the music that inspired you guys and the music that inspired that, which I think is really interesting.
One thing I love, which I don't think I've seen in drill elsewhere in the world that you guys do, is the very, very on point pop culture references. Or Australian history, that was a good one. Bally on Ned Kelly from Spenny, or whipping in the kitchen Gordon Ramsay. There's and even actually Home and Away referencing Brax. I met the guy that played Brax the other day and I told him about it. He goes, bro, I didn't know about this. This has got bigger numbers than anything I've got on social media.
I think it makes sense as well to have them reference, especially if some of them are from Australia, because we are from Australia, and in our early days too, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to at least bring out, the Australian side.
I feel like we took advantage of that as well. Because there was other Australian artists at the time, doing their thing, and we're not hating on anyone, but we're I feel like we can do, better. That's just the honest truth. And it was all right, so if they're doing their thing in their Australian accent, and we're not American, we're not from UK, why can't we just do it in our own accent? When we first got on, we used to have arguments in the studio sometimes, oh, why don't you say it like this? Nah, it sounds bogan, this and that.
For sure.
For us listening to UK music wasn't really
it wasn't too far off us.
Too far off us.
For sure.
And people, you have to get used to their accent, I remember when the boys first introduced it to me, I was like, I don't know. And then 2 months later, I started getting used to it and then got hooked on it. I was all right, if this has the effect that it has on me, I reckon that we can have the same effect on other people.
I mean, you certainly did. I think I look back to maybe 5-10 years before you guys, the first time I saw the Eshe Adelaide thing happening, and everyone kind of talks about Higher Man, or Cursor is the sickest, the one that he spat in the car park. That was the first time we saw the streetwear that was accurate to Sydney. You know what I mean? Because Sydney's always had its own look, and I do feel one thing that I guess people might have taken from you guys is they're dressing like you. I know suburbs in Australia didn't used to wear this very Sydney look that you guys have. Back in the day, I remember it was the Dickies and the fucking Timberlands, and now everyone's doing the more of a Sydney look. Do you feel like a lot of people felt seen in the same way that, Cursor was the first voice for those kind of Adelaide little blokes? Do you feel like there was a whole lot of people, regardless of nationality or background, but there are a lot of people just forget the music. These guys could just be on screen dressed the same, where we're being recognised here, where it's we have a certain type of look.
I felt like we were representing, our people. And we weren't changing for no one. We weren't gonna change our style just because people didn't like it and they were calling us Eshes and that. We embraced it.
You have to embrace it.
For sure. I mean, I don't know if that's a derogatory term anymore. It's not. But Bam Bam yells it into a microphone at the UFC in Dubai. It's there's a lot of pride here, which is where I want to get to. There's content, there's horror. There's a bit of horror in the genre. It's violent, but it is so there's something else happening here that's important, and I feel this is what the documentary highlights, is that you're representing people, and a lot of people are probably doing a bit better and being inspired by seeing people that look like them out in the world, like you guys. So it is heartbreaking when you do have these issues of censorship. I don't want to give too much away about what this documentary is about, but it's something we've seen before in music, whether it was NWA or whether it was Johnny Cash. He was had to actually release a live album in a prison. I just want to talk about taste, right? This is what I want to talk about here. If you forget the content of the lyrics, what do you think, Gabe, is the line where New South Wales police would allow people on stage, or do you think it's the people? Do you think it's the people as opposed to the content?
I think it's the people. I think that Australian music has always had depictions of violence in it. I think that what Waltzing Matilda's about, you know, like a sheep thief.
It's a homeless, suicidal thief.
Yeah,
is Waltzing Matilda. Yeah.
I think that like Australia has a long history of music that does, you know, explore violence and conflict, and yeah, it's hard to say exactly what it is, but yeah, I don't think it's just about the content of the music.
If these guys started, which we wrote on Betoota, if these guys started doing like Foo Fighters covers, maybe New South Wales Police would let them
maybe
perform.
they'd be into it. Yeah, it was a drill song you were talking about, right?
Yeah. We could do a drill cover of Nirvana.
Yeah, look, I don't know what it is, but it's disappointing to see that sort of continues, and disappointing to see that even at the premiere there was such an intense police presence there.
I know, and you did very well not to mention that on the microphone during the Q&A. Yeah, you could have said, you know, the police and some of them are here.
And they were, you know, they were sort of apparently throughout the theatre as well. Like,
yeah,
you know, and I think that so I don't know if it's just about the content of the music, because I think it's a bigger thing than that.
Yeah, it is a bigger thing than that. I mean, I want to talk about the little wins you guys have had in terms of live performances. There's one sensational moment in the documentary, and I think you know what I'm about to mention here, when Spenny finds himself somewhere where it looks like it's just going to be Spenny. And watching you gas yourself up on camera for that gig it's just sensational. It's sensational filmmaking. What have those gigs been like, and can we actually count them on one hand where you've had that audience there for you? I would kind of say Brisbane was the big one, right? Brisbane, things just went your way for that gig. You were able to do the gig and you were able to do the underage. There's been a few happening recently, and like lineups on like festivals.
Yeah, there's been a few happening recently.
Celly, have you had a chance to jump up like on stage with a big audience?
To perform?
Yeah.
Yeah, just recently at Listen Out in Promised Land.
Well, how was that? How was that delayed sugar hit for you?
Yeah, no, it was good.
Yeah.
Especially the experience as well that I got to do. Like work as well.
Yeah.
You know, just to better myself. Yeah, just to finally be able to do it and run out on stage.
But it was straight in the deep end, right? Because it was 2 shows in one day.
Yeah. But I just thought, because I knew where I was coming out to, so I kind of expected it.
Yep.
But that's probably why I kind of handled it.
You came out at the right time, I tell you that. Because a lot of our shows were getting like canned.
Yeah.
Being able to do that tour was like a big blessing.
Yeah, there was a lot of things I didn't know coming out, but I think.
But you know, we've just started like the news of there's been a lot of opportunities that come up.
Yeah.
The early days was like when those opportunities will come up, we're excited.
Yeah.
But now it's like, all right, sweet. There's opportunities that come up, and it's not even exciting because you don't even know if it's gonna go through or not. No, Rick's called me about Listen Out, and he's like, "Oh, they're doing. Oh, yeah, whatever." So,
for sure. Yeah.
So it gets like that, you know.
It's kind of like you go. Like, there's opportunities.
I'm expecting it to get.
You're expecting it to get taken from you.
Yeah. So I don't even. So like it got to a point where I don't even get excited. Like I just don't wait. Like put it in my head too much. Like if it goes through, it goes through. If it doesn't, then it's.
Because I was just preparing myself for Promised Land the whole time, you know. And then we get this last minute call up, and they're like, Listen Out want us to do the tour.
Yeah.
Like when, you know? He goes, the earliest tomorrow. You know? And I was like, well, tomorrow? He's like, yeah, they want us to do it. And then throughout
we
the
don't
next
think
2
twice
weeks,
about those opportunities.
For sure. You got to move quick too.
Yeah, because like it's an opportunity that we've been waiting on for a long time. So like, why not jump at it?
That's crazy to think. So like you got 2 different experiences with like live, right? You got to get a few away while Celly was inside. Spenny got to like try a few different gigs and you know, and then you get out and he's already used to like every opportunity being taken from you, and then it's on, like you're all on stage.
It's good to go through it with the boys together, you know. That's what we got there, and
now you're all on the same level and you've got that taste.
Yeah, move forward and more opportunities.
More shows,
more shows.
Is that where you're kind of at now? You kind of like, you get the opportunity, you get the phone call from the manager, and then is there a little bit of a feeling, well, do we keep this quiet?
No, it's just like, it's whatever. Rick knows that as well. It's like, when he tells me about stuff, I'm just like, oh, yeah. I just like take it with a grain of salt because I'm so used to it, like being shut down, and I'm just sick of being disappointed, like left disappointed at the end of it.
Which is so disappointing that that's normal as well, to feel that way. Yeah. It's normal that you can't get excited about these potentially, life-changing opportunities because there's such a high chance of it not being able to actually go ahead,
Yeah, it's a different kind of anticlimax to what I think most people would be used to when they're excited for something, because it's happened so many times now. So you are kind of numb to it, but it does feel like there's things moving. I mean, this documentary obviously is highlighting just who you are and just what happens behind the scenes when you guys are getting ready for a gig, what your audience looks like, what you've done previously to ensure that people are behaving. That was really interesting to see. You had like the local ministry members in Brisbane at the Brisbane concert, local community leaders
being present, which was and hopefully I think maybe promoters, events are able to sort of take something from the film and see what you can do to ensure that it does go ahead and that it does go okay. And I think by having the community leaders present in the Brisbane show, I think shows that these gigs can engage the community in a meaningful way to make sure everything goes okay. And so hopefully that leads to kind of maybe more thoughtfulness behind how people approach putting on gigs, and there's just more willingness to book
well, when we
for.
see it with football events, like the amount of people you see in crowd control at a football event, you don't see that at a music concert. That could be the difference, just having that many people, visible kind of responsible adults in charge. But Peter Noble, put the boys on Blues Fest 2024. Put them up there. All the hippies will have them, don't worry about that. But I want to now talk about filmmaking, going from video clips, music videos. Video clips is an outdated term, sorry. Video hits. From music videos to feature length. When did you realise, I'm going to just go for a full 90 minutes on these fellas?
I think, I've always wanted to make, films. I've always been interested in making, films and not just sort of being contained to music videos. I think when we started shooting ONEFOUR, it was always initially going to be just a short thing. It was going to be a little, a 2-minute thing for socials, a 10-minute thing for YouTube, maybe a 20-minute thing for TV at some point. I think part of it was the support of the producers and of Netflix, but also part of it was, I think, the story just kept on getting more and more, something kept on happening, it kept on changing. There were so many twists and turns in the actual narrative that it was hard to contain it to something short. For sure. And I think we wanted to do something that did ONEFOUR justice, and it was an accurate, honest depiction of both sides of the story, but really gave itself enough time to explore the issues and the themes and tell as much of the story as we can. There's obviously so much more that we couldn't include, that is just such interesting other context to it, and there's so much that has happened since. But I think the choice to do a feature it feels like the right approach for a story like this. It's a movie. Did
you ever have like a Baz Luhrmann Tarantino moment where someone who's involved in this that isn't you says, man, we need to lose 10, 20 minutes?
Because
you love your art at that point, right?
But there's so many interesting stories that couldn't make the cut. And stories that these guys have told me over the years that we've either recorded interviews for or that I just know and have wanted to include. Some stuff about the American connection that Loma and P have with their dad. Cell's told me this story about the first time he went into street uni, and the experience of that is something that we would have loved to be able to include. But again, you're
limited with 90 minutes. It could have been a trilogy. It could have been, we could have been on Fast and the Furious on these guys. It could have gone 10 movies. I want to ask if you're comfortable sharing that story, Celly, about street uni.
Oh yeah, the first time I went to record at street uni, I was writing at the time, and I wanted to start this my rap career, and I booked in a session at street uni, and I jumped on the bus and I was on my way to Mountie, and I was just by myself, so I didn't have anyone to go up there with. It was just I took it real serious at the time, and I was walking back up and down at the bottom of the stairs at street uni, and my session's starting now, so I thought, am I gonna do it? Am I not gonna do it? Am I gonna go up there? And I thought, you know what, I gotta stuff it. I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna record. When I got up there, Lex was there. So he was already in the studio at the time. So Lex and CG Fez, they were recording me, and I jumped in the studio, and I did my thing. But I just thought, what would happen if I never walked in the studio? If I didn't walk in the studio, or
this is before any of the boys had joined you. This was just you were the first one rolling through.
Yeah, this was before we all came together as a group.
Really?
So I just thought, when I look back at it, I thought,
just the kid on the bus, right? Yeah.
But, I think that the idea that you felt that hesitation but went and did it, I find so interesting, and it's it says just so much about the you know, the willingness to take such a big risk in, you know, pursuing music initially, but also in continuing to pursue it through all of these hurdles. So there's so many interesting, moments that, you know, it's got to be an 8-part series or something next. You know?
We'll hear it all. I mean, they've also got music to tell us all these stories. I'd like to hear what is coming next from ONEFOUR. Is there been any studio time of late, or is it more about focusing on all this stuff?
We've been focusing a lot on like the tours, and it's just been a busy like end of the year, but we have been in the studio. We've been in the studio and we're working on our first project that we're gonna release out to the public. But just of recent, it's just been, you know, all this stuff that's been coming up, just taking it bit by bit. It's like been very busy end of the year.
For sure. There is a lot of music
there's a lot of music that hasn't been released yet.
That's ready to go.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that experience coming out of jail. Are you coming out with notepads? You know, is that what's happening?
I came out with verses. I came out with songs and that. So kind of it's good that I did that for myself, because I prepared myself, or at least I had something and some work and music to come out to. Yeah. So when I went to a couple of studio sessions and that, I just slapped them on. Yeah, right.
Well, I'm excited for it, guys. And who knows, when does this thing actually drop?
Next Thursday, 26th.
26th, okay. Yeah. Who the hell knows what's going to happen from that point, guys? This is like another whole different thing happening. This is going to the world on Thursday. And it's great to see Celly's energised and he's here with, you know, he's come out of jail with all his ideas and all his art. And it's all happening for you boys. So there was one thing that was said in that documentary, which you hear in a lot of kind of different documentaries about areas like Mount Druitt. You've either got footy, until recently now you have music. Music wasn't really an option. So it was footy or jail for young blokes. What else could you guys see yourself doing outside of music? You know, you're obviously creative. Is there a performer in you? Do you think maybe there's a little bit of...
Are you talking before we chose music?
Before you chose music, you know, is there a bit of theatre kid in Spenny?
To be honest, I don't know. Just it's like weird to think about what I could have been if it wasn't for this. Yeah, you can't really say, to be honest. Because I didn't even know how I got here. Yeah, you know.
Well, the story's only just begun, guys. There's plenty of music to come, as Celly said, and there's a documentary coming out on Thursday, which might see a little bit of a bump in your social media. I don't know. A global Netflix documentary about drill rap. Sure. Thank you for joining us today, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Up the Penny Panthers. And Gabe, congratulations on your first feature length.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is that it? Is that the first feature length?
Yeah, it is.
And much more to come from this bloke too. This has been a terrific way to, I guess, premiere your film. Was at South by Southwest Sydney. It was the best thing South by Southwest Sydney could have done if they're talking about arts and culture. Yeah, it's all happening. It's all happening in Mountie County.
Thank you.
Thank you.